Hi everyone, this is Kay. I was asked to share the link to Clara Chevelle's My Creative Spirit Pocket Pages that I saw the tutorial on. It was a Craft Reflections mini album that she used. I could not find the link, so I've made these pages a few times and throughout the last few years, and I apologize, I couldn't find the link, but I actually, on this picnic album, I actually did the pages a little different anyway, so I thought I would just show you what I did, and so I'm just recording this on my cell phone, so I have one hand, so I'll have to pause it here and there just so I can show you the steps. And I'm also using a double-sided paper so you can kind of see which way I have folded the papers and taped them down. So for the picnic album, I cut the paper at 10.5 inches on one side. So it's cut 10.5 here, and this is the 12-inch side. So I'm going to score on the 12-inch side so that the top of the paper is at the 12-inch mark, and I'm going to score down the middle at 6 inches. Then I'm going to turn it a quarter turn and flip it over. I just like to have my mountains and valleys on a certain side. If you don't know what I mean, that's the dents that you get when you score, and then the bumps on the other side, or the dents on the other side. And so I scored at 5 inches and at 10 inches. So I'm going to pause the video right here, and I'll be right back to show you the next step. Okay, I have gone on and moved to the next step, which is this is how the paper was when I last scored it, and I turned it over and folded it at that 10-inch score line, which gave me 1/2-inch flap, and then I put, for the picnic album, I used a 3/8 inch score tape. It does make a difference how wide of a tape you use, how big your pocket's going to actually end up being at the end. And so, anyway, I used 3/8 inch on the picnic album. So I put the 3/8 inch tape along the fold line, and then I angled the corners like that on each side. And then for the middle, I angled the paper, using my scissors, I cut an angle, a triangle into the paper. Let it focus here for a minute. Okay, come on. There you go. So I went just to that 10-inch score line and angled it towards the center where that 6-inch score line is. So here's my 6-inch score line here, and here's the 10-inch score line. So I cut an angle from the edge of the paper up to the 10-inch score line towards the middle to that 6-inch score line. So I'm going to pause it here and we'll move on to the next step. Okay, so I've completed the next step. So what I did was I turned the paper over back to where we have this. You can see there's a valley there where I scored the paper on the 6-inch line. It left a little groove or a valley. So this is my 5-inch score line. And I don't know if you can see, there's a bump right there where I scored it on the other side. So what I wanted to do is I wanted to cut this 6-inch score line up to the 5-inch score line right down the middle. And I cut on both sides of the valley so I'd have a little bit of a slight gap there. I didn't want the edges of the paper rubbing. So I cut like this to this side of the valley and this side of the valley. So I cut that valley out and made just a slight opening into the paper. So I will go on to the next step and I'll be back. Okay, so I have taken score tape and put it on this side and on this side. And then before you actually tape it down, fold your paper up like this and just make sure everything is straight. If you don't make sure it's straight here, your pocket's gonna it'll do, but it might just not look as good as you want it to. So this is where you want, and this is where you don't want that gap. You don't want the edge of that paper hitting that score line. That's why I cut a little bit of a gap there. And so you just want to make sure it's not, you know, crooked like this. I'm sorry, I'm going to focus frame here. Focus crooked like this or crooked like this. You just want to make sure it's nice and straight. And then go ahead and tape one side. And when you're done taping that side, do the same thing on the other side. Make sure it's lining up. And then you can go ahead and tape it down. So then we'll move on to the next step. Okay, so I've taped everything down. So this was the left side, this is the right side. And so now what we're gonna do, so we have this 6-inch score line here. So, oops, let me just move that out of the way. I got a piece of tape right there. So now we're gonna fold it in half. And there you have, in the picnic album, there you have your side pockets. So there's one on this side and one on this side. And in the middle is that 6-inch score line. Okay, now to make the top pocket, we need to tape a bottom and a side down. Not the side where the score line is, okay? That's your side pocket side. So it needs, the score tape needs to go on the bottom and on the side. So I'll show you that and I'll be right back. Okay, so I placed score tape on the bottom here and on this one side. I've already taken the backing off. And so let me get the backing off of here. And so we're just going to fold it over. And if I had both hands, I'd just surely be making sure that everything is nice and straight. And now you have your top pocket. And you can see where I say that it depends on the size of tape, how big this top pocket will be. If you want it, you know, if you don't want so much tape there, you could definitely use glue or an 1/8 inch score tape, and then you'd have just a little more room on that edge of your pocket. But you have to remember too that this is where your binding is going to be. So it might not matter anyway. You know, if you do a cinch, you're going to have about 1/2 inch there anyway for your binding. Or when you come in, if you're going to use rings like I did on the picnic album, you're going to have to come in, you know, at least 1/4 inch anyway to put your rings so you're not too close to the edge of the paper. So there you have it. That's your double pocket page. You have the pocket on the top. I guess I should say triple pocket. You have the pocket on the top and the double pockets on the side. And this is the side, this opposite side is where your binding will go. So that's how I did my pages of my picnic album. I hope you can understand it. I know it was a little hard with the one hand, but anyway, have a good day. Bye.